Hey, sometimes the next business decision doesn't come from strategy, it comes from frustration. And if we're not careful as business owners, that stuck feeling can start to drive all of our decisions and do it faster than clarity does. Hey, stick around if this is making any sense to you.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Schin.
Hey, welcome back to Franchise Pitfalls and Profits. I've been thinking about something this week, and honestly, I think every business owner feels this at some point. And that's why I wanted to dive into something unusual for my podcast. That feeling is that when things are starting to kind of fall apart, something feels off. You're working hard, business might even be okay, but it just is feeling heavier and it's slower. And you just kind of go like, well, something's got to change. And once that feeling sits in on you, once that feeling feels almost normal, it starts to create a different kind of pressure. It's not panic necessarily. It's just like this internal thing that keeps saying, I need to do something here. And so I've been thinking about how many business decisions actually start here. They're not starting from a well thought out strategic position. They're not starting out from some perfectly timed growth plan. Sometimes they start just because you feel stuck. You feel like something's got to give, and that's a real feeling. And I don't want to have anybody feel like you're unique, or I don't want anybody to feel like it's not real, because it really is real. And I've seen it with business owners for many, many years. And honestly, most of the time I'm talking from something that I felt too, or that played out in my business or played out in my life. You just start asking yourself, should we expand? People seeming really busy. Should we hire and add some staff? Maybe you're starting to think about, wow, maybe now's the time. I've thought about turning my business into a franchise. Maybe now's the time we should do that. Maybe you start thinking about adding other things that you could sell, some added revenue streams. You start thinking, is now my pivot point that was so popular during the pandemic? Should I make a move? And sometimes the answer is yes to one of those questions or one of those feelings. Something does need to change, but when what starts to make it tricky is when it's the pressure of just feeling stuck that starts to make you push forward with decisions, starts to get you making decisions faster about things when things really aren't that clear. Your decisions are getting way ahead of clarity just because of this tension and pressure that something needs to happen. Movement is going to feel like productivity. Doing something is going to feel like productivity. Even feeling, even exploring something could feel like the right thing to do. But I want us to start moving toward doing things with clarity and doing things that are thought out, and maybe even doing things that are more strategic. But a lot of times we're just looking for relief. We're not really looking for that clarity. And so we've just got to start thinking through what's having me move to make this decision. And because that's what makes it hard. All of these questions really start to make this a difficult thing to press through. I've watched owners open another location because they felt, well, things are getting hard here, so we need to do more business. And all that happened was that hard feeling got moved to another place, or that hard feeling started to double because we now expanded. It just gave that hard feeling. It just gave it another address than the original address. I've watched founders think about franchising and thinking that, oh, wow, that's the way we're really going to make a lot of money. Thinking that would reduce maybe the profitability pressures. And sometimes, again, we work with a lot of businesses where franchising is indeed the right path. But other times it's simply going to really magnify what's helping you feel stuck. It's just going to magnify the cracks, the weak spots in your business. It's going to magnify the things that's saying that your business really isn't ready yet. I've seen owners chase new opportunities because they felt kind of boxed in where they were and couldn't quite figure out how to get out. But 6 months later, they've just got more moving parts. They've added complexity, they've added weight, and they haven't fixed the problem. Now, I'm not saying that negatively. It's just kind of the way business happens sometimes, and I understand that, because pressure makes movement feel much more urgent, and we live in a culture that rewards movement, rewards speed, rewards big moves, rewards action. Nobody posts, oh yeah, we're slowing down this quarter to look at things a little bit more strategically. Nobody applauds that you paused and actually made the right move. But honestly, that may be one of the healthiest things that you could actually do now and when you're starting to feel stuck. I think that franchise ownership fits this conversation too, because I talk with people exploring franchising all the time. A lot of times, they're not just exploring a business, they're really exploring life change. It's natural to start think of it as career change and just a shift. Maybe they're tired of the corporate life or the corporate world, or they feel like they've hit a ceiling that they can't punch through. They're boxed in to a certain type of position, maybe. But what they're really exploring is life change. They might want business ownership over their future, and that all feels and yes, I mean, there's no doubt we work with people like this all the time, and it does feel very legitimate. And a franchise can actually be a great path for many people. But I think it's really important to say something very transparently, and that is that buying a franchise may eventually create more freedom for you, but it usually creates a lot more responsibility, a lot more tension and pressure at first. I actually think it's healthy to think about this, understand this going in, not to add fear, not to be a massive warning, but just to be real with you. We had a client say to us that they really wanted to have their eyes wide open when they went into this decision to buy a franchise and start a business and change their lives. And that's what's going to offer you clarity going in. When you have clarity going into anything, you will make better decisions. You will ask better questions. You'll be thinking differently than you've probably ever thought before, and you will choose carefully. You won't necessarily hesitate. You will not hold back, but you will think and choose better. And the same is true for founders of businesses who might want to turn their brand into a franchise. Sometimes that's exactly the right move. Sometimes that is a great path, the smartest path available to you and your business at that time. Sometimes, though, it's worth slowing down just a bit and asking, are we really ready? Or are we just tired of carrying all the weight right now? That is a different question. And honestly, that is probably the better question to be asking yourself. Something I've noticed lately is that owners don't necessarily lack opportunity. The opportunities are everywhere: expansion, new locations, franchise my brand, buy another business, add additional revenue streams, hiring, changing models, no shortage of ideas. I think a lot of owners today don't necessarily need more opportunity. They need clearer thinking. They need a clearer look at their path. They need to consider the opportunities in front of them with eyes wide open. Sounds simple. I get it. But it's not always easy, because when things are feeling heavy, when that clarity seems to be coming more slowly, slower can feel very uncomfortable, especially when people around you seem to be moving fast, quick, if I want to be grammatically correct. So people are posting wins. People and other companies are announcing growth. And a lot of folks are asking you, hey, what's your next move going to be? And that pressure is genuine. That pressure is real. But sometimes, again, the best, the smartest, the strongest move is not to move so quickly. Sometimes it is sitting with that tension a little bit longer so that you understand what's really underneath or behind it all. Is it really a growth ceiling? Are you having leadership strain? Are you mentally and physically fatigued? Do you have staffing challenges or issues? Is your system set to scale? Are there other financial pressures going on? Maybe your margins are getting strained. Or are you just carrying a lot of weight right now that may not really be weight? It might be you putting that on yourself. So these things matter, because one clear answer can save you a lot of expensive motion. Honestly, some of the best conversations I've had lately have been conversations. They have been honest conversations. Owners saying, hey, I feel heavier than I expected. I'm not sure which direction makes the most sense. I just believe something's got to change. I'm just not sure what it is. Those are great conversations. We love having them. They're healthy because clarity starts as those conversations start. They're not with a lot of hype, not with a lot of pressure, just honest looks at what's going on. And maybe that's really the thought I wanted to leave with you today, in all honesty. Something that your business may feel stuck right now. Before you start forcing it, before you start chasing the next thing, before you make everything bigger than maybe it can afford to be or can carry right now, just pause long enough to say, what's really creating this tension? What's really creating this stuck and heavy feeling that I have? If the answer is growth, or sometimes the answer is just change, sometimes it's a real next move, but sometimes you just need some space to see what's really going on more clearly. So we're always here to help you with those things. I appreciate you joining the podcast today. Again, reach out to us. We'd love to have these conversations with you. And until next time, keep moving it forward.